Great to have you here, guys. Welcome to this video. Today we're getting started. Today we're really going to cut into the paint. I have brought the new polish from Rupes along with the matching polishing pad, specifically this wool fiber wool polishing pad. Today we will take a look at the Mille course together. Let's go over to the E. These are a few spots that are completely unpolished. This means there are really significant defects present. I'll share some tips and tricks on how to work with such a combination and a very powerful dual action polisher, for example, the DA15. With the DA15, which is a really powerful machine, what to pay attention to, how to achieve a very nice result in a very short time, because that's why we use these tools here to really remove a lot of defects in the shortest time possible, maybe even all of them. I will show you all the tips and tricks. Let's get started. It's raining outside, so we're going to polish. Have fun. First, let's adjust the light, and there we can see some very clear defects on the surface. I'll quickly clean it up again because there are a few crumbs on it. But we can see some really severe defects here. The paint is super, also dull on the surface. We don't have any clear surface at all. You can see these matte areas here. We're going to take a closer look at them today. As you can see, it stretches across the entire roof. Today, we will polish this, and then I'll share some tricks on how to quickly fix this with a microfiber polishing pad without unnecessarily removing too much paint. Because this can also happen when you use such strong products here that you end up removing too much paint. And we don't want that. We only want to do as much as necessary. And that can also be done with the microfiber polishing pad and the new Mille course. And let's take a look at that now. We actually don't need that many things here today to polish the heavily scratched roof surface. We have that one with us. Very nice long machine, 125mm backing plate, wonderful heat dissipation, 15mm stroke, really powerful. For me, one of the absolute strongest machines here on the Rupes Mille course. Let's test this out together today. I'll give you some of my feedback on the application. How well does it spread on the paint? How easy is it to work with? And how does it polish out? What is the result? And in combination, and that is a bit of the main theme today, these wool pads, which are also used very extensively to really achieve maximum cut. On the back, we also find some information from Rupes. You can take a still image if you want to go through it completely at your leisure. It is very important to say that there are significant differences between a foam pad and a wool pad, hybrid pad, or microfiber pad. There are many different definitions. In this video, I will also share all the important tips that are essential during the polishing process. You need to approach this a bit differently. You have to work the polish in a slightly different way. The entire polishing process should also be built up gradually. You can't just spread it out on level 2 like with many foam pads, crank it up to level 6 and go for it. This works very well with foam most of the time, but here with microfiber wool, one should be a bit cautious because the friction is very high, plus the polish. It has a lot of real power. This comes from Rupes in a 100% recycled EcoPack variant, which is a kind of paper cardboard packaging. I actually think it's quite good, and it opens easily as well. And then we get to the polishing pad here. And you can see this is a combination of a very nice 1 cm thick foam layer. It also feels a bit like the coarse pad. And then we have this wool on top. Very nicely done. And the craftsmanship is really very cleanly cut. If a few individual hairs come off the edge of a wool pad, like here just a little bit, that's completely normal. This happens because of the cut on the side. You don't need to worry about it. Otherwise, it's very nice here in this blue and white structure. You can see it well here again. And this is specifically designed for dual action polishers. Hence the dual action course, so it's for the dual action variant. Let's test it together now. I'll give you all the tips. Let's go up to the roof. So you can already see here, this is not the surface we are polishing. We're going up one level, so to speak, a bit further away. We are now almost in the middle of the vehicle, and here we have really strong scratches. So here the paint is still completely original and unpolished. We have already done a bit of work in the last videos. So now we can see a noticeable difference. So don't get confused. This is not the area we are working on, but rather here in this section. And there we can see the noticeable scratches. I will also create a 50-50 section here so we can see it clearly, but it actually films very well. Here you can see this very dull surface. With a microfiber polishing pad, always make sure, just like with foam, that it is nicely centered on the backing plate, because with a dual action polisher like the DA15, you already have the stroke with the oscillation. And if you now place the polishing pad very off-center, you practically increase the entire weight that is oscillating here, making the machine even more unstable. And dual action polishers do have a certain amount of vibration due to the stroke, completely normal. Once you have put on the polishing pad, It is now very, very important, and this is the big difference compared to polishing with a foam polishing pad. The structure of this pad is not known for absorbing a lot of polish. This means that the polish cannot distribute nicely into the depth during the polishing process. And if you press a little, it will be released again because it tends to come back out relatively quickly, to put it simply. That's why we will just add 4 small points here, and you can start to incorporate them into the structure a bit. And you will notice that it doesn't spread on the pad as nicely as on foam. I think you can already see it a bit here. I hope the position of the DA15 is okay. So 4 small drops, this is also described here in the instructions. And then you work it in slowly. And this is a very, very important point. So don't spread it on level 1 here and then turn it up to level 6 or level 5. It can definitely happen that the polish splatters everywhere because it doesn't get absorbed into the pad very well. This varies a bit with every microfiber or wool pad. Just give it a try. But if you use this tactic, it actually works quite well. I'm going to do step 2 here, and then we'll first distribute it. Make sure to throw the cable over your shoulder. Be careful not to wear any hoodies with zippers or belts with buckles that might rub against the surface on the side. So you really need to make it a bit higher, or you can use a small 2-step ladder, or maybe some kind of small platform to help you reach the roof better. Step 2, and then we will distribute it first. So this works very, very well. The advantage when distributing is that you first define the surface to be polished. You specify the area. In addition, the polish can now be distributed in this fiber. And if we turn this around now, you can already see that it is very nicely and evenly distributed. Now we will start with the actual polishing process. I do it this way, and that is my tip for you. I will first go over it with a medium setting, also with medium pressure, to work it in a bit and to see if it works already. Is it well distributed in the pad, or is it still splattering outwards? This varies with each pad. You just have to test it out. So don't immediately turn the eccentric to the highest speed, just gradually work your way up. Start at level 4. I will now go through each individual point with you. What to pay attention to. You have seen that sometimes the machine jumps a bit, and that is because not every area on a roof surface is evenly supported from below. We can see that here, for example. If we press here, it is very soft. That doesn't mean you should polish quickly in any way, but from below there isn't as much material support like here. Here you can't press anything in. 2001, but here, for example, you can press the surface down very, very hard if you want to. This means that if the pad jumps a little or the surface gets slightly pressed in, don't be startled, don't panic about it. This definitely happens with a foam pad as well, especially if the surface is not properly supported, like for example. Now here at the front in this area, you can see it well here, but there is currently a supporting brace underneath, so there is nothing there. So no panic. And now comes the most important part. Be careful with the temperature. The temperature will build up relatively quickly, and if you are working on a smaller area, it will also remain very high, because you are coming. Let's remember this point here. When you polish here, you have reached that point, make the cross pass, and you will quickly return to that point. The temperature that has built up does not decrease quickly but remains at this high level, slowly dropping and then immediately rising again when you pass by here. This means that when you polish, just place the back of your fingers on it. Even now, it still has temperatures, even though I haven't polished much here yet. So, just be careful not to run too hot, otherwise the polish, or generally the polishes, will dry out, and the pad will suffer significantly from the heat. If the Velcro surface comes off, the structure will also come apart. Everything that is glued will dissolve very quickly as well, so just be careful with that. And if that happens, you have simply overburdened the pad excessively. Even now, in terms of pressure, do not press down wildly on the surface, but rather use the weight of the machine. So, the weight of your normal hands, don't press down extra hard and flatten the pad completely. Instead, let the fibers do their work. That's what they're there for, as they have this high abrasion. So, let's check here. The temperature is definitely good but not too hot. I can easily place my hand on it without having to pull it away quickly because it's burning my skin. So everything is relaxed. It can really get warm but not hot, and it shouldn't be steaming. Also, the surface here shouldn't start smoking, so be careful with that. When you are done polishing now, you will see that the surface of this pad is pressed down very, very flat. This is a disadvantage in the long run. This means that before you go back onto the surface, you should take a small brush or a scrub pad and brush the fibers back up. Let's do this together now. I'll come around to you so you can see it better. You can do this with a scrub pad, you can do it with a small brush depending on your preference. Here you see the scrub pad. This is one that I use here to brush these fibers repeatedly. Do you see how well this works? It goes very, very smoothly. And this is how you also remove those old polish residues. And the pad is nice and soft again, perfect for continuing to work. This is very, very important. Do not keep working with this smooth pad all the time. It becomes harder and smoother, and the polishing performance decreases. So here we have the result. It is really, really impressive. Let's work with the light here, 2001. Take a look at this. We have a really, really clear surface. We're doing this first with the ceiling light. Look here, the light is really beautifully defined. We have no holograms on it, no haze. So the polish together with the pad may not have one step written in huge letters, but it is simply absolutely top-notch. Look at the entire surface, a really nice clear image. We can also use the SCANGRIP bind here again. One could perhaps test a small finish again with the Exzenter pad, but it is already at an extremely good level. So really, super, super good. But we're going to do this again. We will separate the area once more because I also want to experiment a bit with you. We will take the finish polish from Rupes again and separate the area again to see if we can further improve the finish and how far the wool pad has already gone into the finish with the Mille course. So really a super, super strong result. So I definitely should have taken my fresh pad. It wasn't 100% clean yet, but that's not a problem. Now we are in the right field. So we see here, we are insane. Do you see a difference here? Where the small light is now? I see no difference. Absolutely great, clear image. We can also work with the ceiling lights now. Even here, left and right. It's super clear and beautifully contrasted. We have no haze, no holograms. Wow. So, this is basically the definition of one step, and we haven't polished for an extremely long time. This means we haven't unnecessarily removed a lot of paint and still achieved a really good finish. You can't see any difference now between the left side and the right side. I am now, of course, on the other side of the vehicle. So here we have the wool pad, and here on the side, the finish pad afterwards. And I believe, can you see a difference? I can't. So we are in the area, and here at the front you would have the scratches again. That's where it starts. So here it's really absolutely top notch. And down here the scratches come back. Can you see it here? Yes, it's nice to see. And there we really have a nice, clear image across the entire surface. Super, super good. So that's actually the definition of one step. Very, very nice. A brief conclusion here about the wool pad and the Mille course. The polish can be processed very, very nicely and distributes very well in the pad. You really have a very nice, even result. It polishes out very, very well. And despite using the wool pad, there is no extreme dust formation. This is very, very important. But always remember, when you work with a wool pad, make sure to brush it out or blow it out in between so that the fibers don't completely stick together and lay flat on the foam surface. This is very important. I was really super, super positively surprised by the polishing result. We are familiar with the Rupes polishes, which work really, really well. But here, the Mille course is presented as a one-step solution. Even though it doesn't say one step on it, it simply works completely, in one step with a microfiber pad. And that is also the nice thing about it, that it really goes all the way into the finish, and you could see that very, very well here. So, it was also a test again, and I am actually the only one doing this. A promotional video or a manufacturer video wouldn't show this at all, but I wanted to test it for myself and also for you. We are here again, going over it with the fine and finish pad to see if we can make the finish even clearer. And I couldn't see anything here on the small screen with my eyes, and also not like this, that we could now provoke a significantly noticeable increase in gloss. This means that if you work with it reasonably, do not overdo it, do not tilt the machine, do not apply too much pressure, do not set the speed too high, and do not exaggerate with the abrasive effect. Do you also have a really clear image, even with a wool pad? You can see here after the second round of polishing that it is really very, very flat again, which is completely normal. But then use a scrub pad or a soft brush to break up those fibers again. And you can already see here, when I go over it briefly, it doesn't set all the phases directly at once because they continue to build up over time. That's why it's just a bit of circular motion and then they dissolve again. If you have questions about the wool pad, polish, and everything related to it, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If there's anything else I should test with these items, feel free to let me know. There is also a scrub pad, which I could have shown you now, but it's the same principle. We'll take another look at it later in a different context, for example. We will take a closer look at the topic of door polishing, as these are the perfect surfaces for these narrow pads. So, everything will be coming in the next few days. Thank you very much for watching. Lots and lots of information. Polishing is always a lot of fun. It's one of my absolute favorite topics because you can quickly get into it, you can easily understand it, and with a little practice, you can achieve a lot very quickly. And I definitely want to pass this on to you. And don't panic. Start with it, get yourself a decent machine, and for the last point really, it's a monster, a power monster. It is simply really, really good, and you can also notice with this combination how much power can be behind it when you need it. Until next time, we're done now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. So, Bastian, bye guys.